everyone, my name is Hannah. I go by microbiologistmakes here on YouTube as well as over on Instagram. And today I'm coming at you with my first ever Flosstube, which is not something I ever thought I would be doing. Well, I had tested the waters back out in July. I filmed a Flosstube and just never did anything with it. And since then, there's been so many new Flosstubers popping up that I've gotten inspiration from, such as Marjorie Made Stitches, or Marjorie Made Cam the Stitcher, Museum Stitcher, Seattle Stitcher, and I just woke up this morning and felt like, you know, what's the worst that could happen? I just need to do it. So here we are. I am going to be sharing all of my WIPs with you today, of which there are 30. So we better get started. I'd like to start with an introduction. And as a disclaimer, I know I'm not going to be successful at avoiding filler words. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, see, there we go. And yeah, if that's not your thing though, and you don't want to listen to me talk about myself for just a few minutes, feel free to skip ahead, I understand. So like I said, my name is Hannah. I'm 25. I live in Iowa. I moved here for my grad program. So as my channel name implies, I'm a microbiology PhD student, or candidate, I guess you can say, because I did pass my qualifying exams. And yeah, I'm in the field of veterinary microbiology, but I study the pig gut microbiome, and specifically looking for ways to modulate that bacterial communities within the pig intestinal tract to convey certain health benefits. I'm most interested in colonization resistance to enteric pathogens, such as salmonella. So that's all the science for today. Other habits outside of the lab are thrifting, antiquing. I love doing that. I collect a variety of things, so I'm always on the lookout for Pyrex. My patterns are woodland, forest fancies, and crazy daisy, or spring blossom is the appropriate word or phrase. And my currently overtaking my kitchen is a Sears Mary Mushroom collection from the 70s. So yeah, I also am a plant person, as you can see. That started a couple years ago. I also have a pretty big vinyl collection. I love listening to music that way. I guess you could say I got my start with the Beatles, and my family can attest to this. I was a dedicated fan. I mean, still am, but I've toned it down a little bit. There may or may not be a picture of me at my high school graduation standing very, very proudly, I will add, next to a life-size cutout of George Harrison. So yeah, George is my Beatle of choice, I guess you could say. So yeah, if there's a 60s and 70s band out there, I'm probably listening to it, and yeah, that's what fills my time. Other than that, in terms of crafts, crochet is definitely the runner-up to cross stitch. I really enjoy making mostly sweaters, and I can knit, but you probably won't see much of that on this channel because frankly it stresses me out. I am constantly worried about making mistakes, and mistakes are much easier to fix with crochet, so that's where I'm at for now. Maybe I will pick it up, who knows, and get better, but we'll see. And in terms of my cross-stitching journey, I started cross-stitching probably when I was around 8 or 9. I got started with a little kit. It was a Care Bear, Wish Bear. And I remember just running over to my mom every 5 minutes, because she had cross-stitched. I think she's cross-stitched for most of her adult life, and she got me started, and I would run over to her, you know, every 5 minutes with this massive knots and tangles, and she would always fix it for me, and then I'd go back and, you know, return shortly with another problem. But yeah, I did get through a Wish Bear. I think I finished him. Don't know where he is, but I, you know, would get kits for Christmas then, mostly like the small dimensions, petites, and I would finish those. But it really wasn't until high school that I started like stitching more consistently, I guess you could say. I picked up the Thomas Kincaid had a Disney Dreams series that is very hard to get your hands on now because they stopped producing them. But I picked up Sleeping Beauty, and I finished that within like a 5-year time frame. I think I was a sophomore in college when I finally finished that. I can maybe pop in a picture. And I think that ruined me for full coverage, honestly, because you'll see I have other full coverage WIPs, but I can't ever seem to like get very far with them for any amount of time. So I think I burnt myself out a little bit, and need to figure out how to get back to being able to tolerate doing those just like full coverage stitching in general. But yeah, anyway, since the pandemic, I guess I've been stitching much more consistently, and I picked up crochet during that time as well. So yeah, I've been watching Flosstube as well for a few years. My mom also introduced me to that, so shout out to her. And yeah, I'm just excited to be more involved in this community, hopefully moving forward. And yeah, let's just get right into the WIPs. So we're going to start from oldest WIPs moving forward, and I'll be looking down to consult my spreadsheet on my phone. And if I leave anything out, fabric or thread wise, or have any other questions, feel free to let me know, because I probably will. So starting back with my oldest WIP, this was 2014, and so yeah, I was in high school still, and this is the part of the Disney Dreams collection by Thomas Kincaid. So I have Lady and the Tramp. I'll put in a picture. These kits are unfortunately out of print, and they go for quite a bit of money on eBay. Luckily, I got all these when they were still in box stores. I've heard that Heaven and Earth Designs is licensed to continue the series, because Thomas Kincaid has quite a few more Disney themed paintings, but yeah, haven't heard updates for a while on that front. So anyway, this is where I'm at right now for Lady and the Tramp. I'm almost at the halfway point. After I finish just filling in all that blank space, I will be halfway done. It only took me almost 10 years. I'd like to finish that maybe like within the next month. I don't know if that's too much, and then portion out the rest of the pattern so that I could finish it by the end of this year, because I really want to be done with this before it turns 10. I also have my second WIP, then would be Bambi, which I started in a weak moment in 2019. That's also one of the Disney Dreams collection, but I don't have much of a start on it. I'll also put in a picture of what it looks like when it's done, but I'm not going to return to it until I finish Lady and the Tramp. And then next I have Shepherd's Song by Plum Street Samplers. This was started in April of 2020, and it is on 36 count and unnamed fabric by Tropical Stitches. I got it off her Etsy. I think she also has a website now. I'm trying to come up with a good way to show this. So that's where I'm at. I recharted the words. It says, well, let's lead with the pattern, shall we? It says, "May goodness and mercy follow thee." And I just sort of continued that verse to say, "all the days of thy life," at the bottom. Sorry, I am not good at showing things. I'll invest in a ring light moving forward. Yeah, those little sheep faces are over one. The part of the verse that I recharted is over one, and it wasn't bad, honestly. I really like stitching houses, so I'm excited to get to that big old house in the center there. And these are all bags that my mom sewed. I cut the fabric and she sews, so we make a good team. Next, is Sweet Cow by Dimensions. It's my only other Dimensions kit I have going at the moment. And there are two options. You could stitch it with or without that flower crown. And I chose the flower crown, obviously. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this when I finish. I'm pretty close. But I was thinking maybe just like it could be like the front of a project bag, like a panel. Because it's not really like something that I don't really want a cow framed in my house, I don't think, at this point. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but oh, these are wrinkly. I don't have an ironing board, so we're not going to be ironing these, but yeah, she has a sort of a valley in the center of her head, but yeah, it's just like a lot of black to fill in over on this part. I feel like a weatherman here. Over to here for the shading, that has put me off. Otherwise, I think this would be very manageable to finish this year, and I'd like to do that. That would be nice. I feel like 30 whips is a little bit, out of control for me right now, because I'm stitching on one thing and I want to be stitching on another, and I just need to like cut down so I don't have as many options. I also have been starting all the things lately. Oh, this is my Beauty and the Beast fabric. And I had a little, it's like an enchanted rose-esque charm that I found at Hobby Lobby. I love the theme. Okay, and next is Starry Night by Riolis. I don't know if I have the pattern. I'll put it in a picture. And I'm also not sure if I'm showing this in the correct orientation. I think this is up and down. Yeah, this is still in the Q-snap because it fits so well and it has this matching grind guard, so I've just left it in here. I'm using the wool acrylic. It doesn't really bother me, honestly. It does not a lot easier, in my opinion. But it's not bad. I had gotten a lot farther on the same project, but I had to start over because the wool acrylic confused me. I was a newer stitcher. I started this in, well, not newer, really. I had no excuse. I was just stupid. I started in August of 2020, and I was using one thread of the acrylic. I wasn't like, as it comes off the spool, basically. And so it was so thin, and I got to the black colors or the darker colors, and you could just see the white Aida through it, and I realized my mistake, and I was probably a third of the way done with the pattern and had to start over. So that hurt my soul quite a bit. But I couldn't live with it with just one strand of thread. It was too thin. Actually, here's the pattern. Sorry, I have things sort of spread out all around me. Everyone knows what Starry Night looks like, but there you go. I think Riolis has like such beautiful kits. I'd love to do more if I ever finish this one. Okay, and then we have, moving on to sort of, I stitch a little bit of everything, but this is an example of that. So we've gone from full coverage now to samplers. So we have Brenda Gervais Noel sampler. My mom also started this with me and she finished it already. So I'm stitching this with the called for threads, except for some of the DMC whites didn't show up, so I just picked a lighter pink shade, and this is also on 36 count tropical stitches. Fabric that was unnamed, or no, it's Gabrielle. And I have a decent start on it. I started with the border. I can remember exactly what I was doing. I was watching Die Hard. It was Christmas time. We were watching Die Hard, and I was stitching on this nice little prim Christmas sampler, because that goes together. So there's where I am. All the bricks in the house actually didn't go by too slowly, and I have the border down the side. Man, my lighting is just terrible. Yeah, and I did the satin stitch in the little bird wing. I really like this one. I love Tropical Stitches fabric. Highly recommend. So I remembered that overhead lighting exists. So we're here again with maybe a little better of a lighting situation. Just because I'm in grad school doesn't mean I'm smart. You'll find that out pretty fast. And also I'm sitting on the floor, which is really awkward, but that kind of speaks to who I am as a person. You'll find out. But I was sitting, so I crossed my legs and I felt this really sharp pain in my ankle. And I looked down and there is a needle on the floor sticking out of my ankle. Like I had to pull this out of the skin. And now it's kind of bleeding a little bit, but we will soldier on. I have Flosstube injuries, so hopefully it doesn't get worse from this point. Alright, so we did Noel Sampler, and my next WIP is then the Winter Quaker Mystery Sal, and this was by Stickadine von der Weerenberg, and this came out, I believe, at the beginning of 2021, and it was a Sal, and I kept up for a few months, but then fell off, and I don't think there's a finished picture, at least I couldn't find one, so I'm sorry about that, but and I don't have like a mock-up to show you either because I just have the patterns. So I'm pretty close. I'd like to finish this again with the directionally challenged. I'd like to finish this by the end of the year. It's just a bunch of Quaker, snowflakes and these cute little pine trees. In the middle, it says winter in Smyrna stitches, and then there's all these little woodland creatures. I have a fox in right now, although I'm not a fan of all of them, so I'm just going to rechart some. But yeah, it's pretty big. This is on 40 count woodland Newcastle linen that I got from 123 Stitch, and the threads are just DMC 3865, and then I used a color and cotton because I'm in their thread of the month club. A color and cotton green, and I think it's called Seaweed, and yeah, that's where we are now. I finished, so I have 3 parts left, and I finished the part that I was supposed to finish in October. In January, just a few weeks ago, so I'm on track to finish in April, so we'll cross that one off soon. The next is Winter Wonder in an appropriately themed bag, sparkly. And this was in just a Cross Stitch magazine, Cross Stitch and Needlework, January 2015 issue. And it's called Winter Wonder by Barbara Sestock. And it's on a 28 count white linen because it's sort of like a negative space. I'll have to put in a picture. Image where you don't stitch the white parts, that's the snow, and yeah, it has a really cool effect. I'm not very far because I found out I really like Pattern Keeper, and I have a hard time doing, this isn't technically full coverage, but doing full coverage on a paper pattern is not really fun for me anymore. Yeah, you can see the little outline of the cabin. And everything above the cabin, those 2 chimneys in dark blue, is sky. And it is not half stitched, so I haven't touched this in a while. And next is Fruits Aplenty, very popular. I promise I won't do this every time, but it's John Wayne, so I have to. I didn't start this when the Sal started. This is on 40 count XG Designs Marbled Bunny, and modern folk embroidery, as everyone knows. I didn't start it when the Sal started. I started in April of 2021, so not January, but I got up to the April part, and now I'm just gonna do 4,000 stitches a month or so to be done by I think it'll be October of this year. Can't do math that fast. And yeah, my DMC threads are just like a light pink and a brown, and they are DMC 8 and 3773. That one's so fun to do. Definitely fell in love with modern folk embroidery after that, and I have a couple other, one on the go and one I want to start. Next is Land of the Free by Willow Hill Samplings, and this is on 40 count Picture This Plus sand, using all the called for threads. And let's see. It's not like a huge pattern. I'll have to put in a picture because I have a PDF. And it's all houses pretty much, so that's my jam. That's where we are. You know, I don't mind. I hear people saying that 40 count Picture This Plus is really tight, but I don't know, this one doesn't seem to be. So I like working on that. Right, and then I went back to the full coverages for a while. This is American Llewellyn's on Point by Artisy, charted by Artisy. I'm not sure who the artist is. I'll have to put a picture, or put that on the screen. And this is on, I'm stitching it 1/1 on a 28 count even weave, which isn't the most fun thing in the world for me. Hence why I only have like 3,000 stitches, and it's of sky. But I really like this pattern. I really like bird dogs in general, or spaniels. We have well, he's technically my dog, but he lives with my parents because he's very high energy. We have a French Brittany Spaniel, and he is an amazing little hunter, and then they call them angels in the home, devils in the field. He's not really an angel in the home either, but yeah, I really like going out with my dad pheasant hunting in Northeast Iowa, and this just reminds me of it, even though they're Llewellyn's, not French Brittany's. But yeah, one last time. I don't have my DMC sorted very well for that. Okay, now we're on to Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery, and this is a 28 count Monaco fabric that I dyed myself to be like that green color, because I couldn't find the call for fabric at that point. And I'm using a mix of color and cotton for some of the trees, and then there's a call for silk that is also a Gloriana, I think, that is that I left in, but some of the trees I've switched out for color and cottons. So I started from the bottom because I wanted to place the pumpkins in the part of the fabric that I like the best. And I really like this one. It's very I like big blocks of color. So there's a lot of that, and then just some little bits here and there to break it up. Then we have, in my friend's bag, we have Pandemic by Long Drop. I started this in October of 2021. I guess I should be like telling you dates started, but that ship has sailed apparently. This is on Bramble 40 count, and I'm just stitching it with DMC 3021. I really like, I'm a fan of DMC. It's a dark brown. It's kind of reading black here, but it's not. And Bramble is a very nice fabric. It's like a light gray. I'd hope to, I think I had, so I'm not doing WIPCO this year because I always do WIPCO and then I fail at WIPCO. So I just sort of made some goals for not all my projects, but some of them. And I think I said I wanted to get to 25% on this, which might be too ambitious, but we'll see. Next up we have The Gather In by Plum Street Samplers, and this is on a 40 count Be Stitch Me Sand Dollar. I was in her Fabric of the Month for almost a year. I love her fabric. And it's like a light gray, very similar to Bramble that I just showed. And I have the words at the top finished. Got out of habit of sharing patterns because the others were PDF. There we are. Set a goal on this project this year. I'd like to just finish the house. That's all I'm committed to. And I'm doing that with all of the called for threads. Next one was a birthday start last year, so in April, and it is the Walk Fast Sampler by Lindy Stitches in a Golden Girls bag, and I'll put in a picture because I have a PDF. It's a small start because I can't even find it on this fat quarter. Here we are, just the top border. And I'm using the called for threads. This is Be Stitch Me Vanilla Latte 40 count. Then I had 2 birthday starts last year because I was turning 25, so it called for it. This is the Scarlet House, A Perfect World, and I really like the saying. It's very appropriate for me. And I started at the bottom of the border, and this is on a 46 count by Silkweaver called Purely Primitive, and I didn't have the right needle size, and it was not pleasant. So I have since gotten the right needles, I just haven't gone back to it. And I'm doing that. I have the perfect frame for it, and it's square, but the pattern isn't quite square, so I'm just gonna like bump up the some of these just like to be a little bit taller. I think it's only off by like 20 stitches of being square, so I have plans for that, so then it'll fit inside this antique frame I found, and I think that'll look good. I'd like to finish the border at the bottom this year because, yeah, that's pretty solid. Not the grass necessarily. It would just be great if I had the border. Okay, next is, it was kind of a birthday start. It was in April of last year as well, but it was a couple weeks after, so I don't think I can call it that anymore. It's called Ginger Reflection, and it was a kit by RTO, but I swapped out the fabric for an even weave. By Picture This Plus. I just love, I love foxes, but that water is so pretty. And all this, like, man, I'm getting worse and worse at this. All the weight is actually just the fabric. So, although my fabric is peach, it's Murmur by Picture This Plus, and like I said, it's an even weave, and it's 32 count. And you're not even going to be able to see my start because it's just half stitches of a light color, so, but it's like a peachy pink. Yeah, you can't see anything. They're right there. But yeah, I'm excited to get to some color on this one. I think I put it down because I wasn't fast enough, but I didn't really want to start in the middle. So it's my own fault. This is my other modern folk embroidery pattern that I have going, and I'll put in a picture because I have the PDF. And I'm stitching this on, this was my first time doing 56 count. I was inspired by the 911 stitcher. She talked about using Swasserfine silk, and so I did that, and I got Cafe au Lait Zweigart 56 count Swasserfine number 2655. It's like a coral pink, and it's really fun. I know sometimes it's not always fun to stitch the same thing over and over, but I feel like by the time you get to the part that repeats, you forget what it was like to stitch it. So, yeah, I really like doing this. I just love the Jacob style of designs. So, and next we have One Nation by Bygone Stitches, and this is on 40 count Seraphim Fabrics, Boston. And I was doing a state and a star a week for a while, and then I fell off because I didn't feel like stitching on this in the winter. So I have through what is that, Connecticut? And I swapped out the call for threads for, I think they're Color and Cottons. I have to look after I put this down. Yeah, it's like I thought the fabric looked sort of aged, and I like that. So yeah, this is Color and Cotton Dark Indigo, and then the red is Weeks Dye Works Lancaster Red. And I'm using Anchor White because I had heard that it might have better coverage. Honestly, I don't notice the difference between it and DMC. Maybe for if you're doing like a big full coverage section with Anchor, it would cover better, but I don't notice. The next is Dasher and Dancer. This was my Christmas start in 2022. Wait, I take that. No, that was my July. It was my Christmas in July start in 2022. And I'm stitching this on the Call for Seraphim Antique Lace 40 count, and this pattern, I don't think I mentioned, is by Hobby House Needleworks. And I'm using, I think it's Classic Colorworks Mold, something berries, Red Currant. Well, that's a berry, so it counts. And I'm just in the top corner, sad, with the alphabet. I like samplers, but I don't like alphabets, or stitching them anyway, which it's kind of unavoidable, I know. Then I think this is probably my favorite project I started last year. This I started in September. It's Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. This was very, very popular. I mean, if it has mushrooms in it, I will be stitching it most likely. And yeah, I just love the cloche itself. Oh, it's just so good. So I'm doing this on a 40 count X2 Designs Grandpa's sleeve, and I'm doing a Color and Cotton conversion, and I don't have Color and Cotton and then a mixture of the DMCs. And I'm switching up some of the colors of the pumpkins. I didn't want to do a purple pumpkin, so I'm doing like orange and white, but I haven't gotten to that point, and honestly some of my threads weren't working out, so I've been back and forth with this. But there's my small start. Started with a mushroom, and I think I'll just continue to work the border as I move farther over. I thought I've never tried like this type of effect linen from X2 Designs. I love their fabric, but I wanted to try it for this, so I thought it looked spooky, a little fallish. So yeah, I just love that project. And I have mushrooms on my bag. Alright, and then this one is not very interesting to look at. It's Where the Bittersweet Blooms. I'll put in a picture of the pattern because it's not in the bag. By Brenda Gervais. And I have this frame that I picked up at Michael's, and it's not really a frame, it's more like a plaque. And it stands up, it's black. I think it's supposed to be a tombstone, but then it has these two ravens or crows perched on the top, carved out of wood. And the plaque is pretty small, it's like 3 by 4 in the center, and I wanted to put the cross stitch there. So I had to stitch this on 46 count for it to fit. And I just have the border because I was playing around to see how big it needed to, or how tall it needed to be. The width was perfect, the height was not. So I had to just hold it up to the plaque to make it fit. And so I'll probably have to add something filler in the pattern at the bottom for that to work out. And I'm just using random coloring cottons, DMCs, because I didn't have many of the threads that Brenda called for. And I guess this one is baked apples, if you're interested. It's a really pretty orangey golden. It's very variegated, which is fun. And next in my pheasant bag is a pheasant pattern. I found this, I saw it at a garage sale for $1 and I didn't get it. And then I bought it on eBay. It's called Autumn Spirit by Karen Bodish. This has got to be 80s. I mean, obviously. Maybe 90s. And yeah, there's a pattern. It's just so realistic, and I love the background and the fence line. It's gonna be interesting doing those long stitches. I'll have to get better at couching. But I started this on right before Thanksgiving, so in November, and this is on 32 count Be Stitch Me Willow. And it's just with the call for DMC. What I don't like about this pattern is the page break. There's no like overlap, and also there's an error. So the part on the other side does not match up. Like the grid size must be different, and that's why I stopped on this one. But I do have the wing, if I can figure out which way it goes. You can't even see it. It's tan on green, but yep. I think once I get into, I think I'll probably avoid the wing part and start with the head and then work my way out to figure out where the part in the pattern that doesn't match up is, because that was frustrating. Make sure everything's back together or I will have a problem. Okay, next is Winter Quail by the Blue Flower. And I got this because I went to the Jingle Ball and it was in her online shop, and I can't resist the bird. And it has a little scarf. I can't decide if I want this as a pillow or I have a gray frame that is like that dimension. Exactly. So I'm stitching this on 36 count extra designs in 3-sit with a color and cotton conversion, and I'm using some of the DMCs, but I didn't have the called for threads otherwise. So there's my quail. I am gonna back stitch, or no, yeah, it is technically, I guess it's satin stitch the scarf in. There was an option to leave it out, but I think that's what makes it. Okay, we're getting down there. 5 left. The next is Christmas Bells Sampler by Heartstring Samplery. This was my Christmas start in 2022. And here's what it looks like. It's like DMC, or no, it's not DMC. Gloriana silk threads and a DMC étoile for the silver bells. But I just used color and cotton, shades of pink and red and greens, and then I'm still using the DMC étoile, which is my first time using it, and it's kind of fun. I don't think the bells will pick up but as being shiny, but I heard the encore. Yeah, I just love that. I love that song. I always hear Frank Sinatra in my head. And this is on 40 count extra designs Rocky Mountain, and I don't think I held that up for very long. So there you been my New Year's start for 2023. Although it technically wasn't New Year, it was still 2022 when I started it. It's the 31st. And I only have the PDF, so I'll put it in a picture. Is Quaker Snowflakes by Hello from Liz Matthews, and this is on 36 count Coloring Cotton Desert Taupe. It kind of looks blue in some lights, but it's also gray in others, so I'm not sure. And I'm using Coloring Cotton Chimney Sweep. I decided to do the monochromatic version. And I saw that Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch just finished hers. Yeah, I think finished hers, and I'm jealous because I want it done. But yeah, I love Coloring Cotton. Coloring Cotton fabric, Coloring Cotton threads. You use both at the same time, it's even better. Alright, and then I jumped on the Beatrix Potter Quaker Sal that was started by Kansas City girl in the Colorado world, Julie. And I also divided this pattern up into 36 parts, so if I do 4 parts a month, then I can be done by the end of September, which would be cool. So this is a Stitchy Box pattern, Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler, and I'm using 46 count Coloring Cotton heirloom lace. I switched over from Be Stitch Me to Coloring Cotton like last fall, and I was in their 46 count for a few months, and then I decided I don't need to be spending so much money. So I got out of that, but I'm sad about it. So this is with General Art Sampler Thread Burlap also. It's like a gold color. I wanted to stick to, I like the colors of the sampler, and I have a lot of gold in like my bedroom, so I think that would be nice in there at some point. And the fabric is very slightly mottled, so it looks a little aged. Not right now, but love seeing everyone's progress on this. Ooh, so my mom got me for, I'm not sure where from, I'll have to ask. For Christmas, she got me these thread drops. They're like wood. It's whoever did Pam and Steph's, when they did that collaboration to produce like the thread drops, and I think Needle Minders wood engraved, whatever company or seller they did that with is who also made these. They're wood burned and they have mushrooms on them, and it came with this needle bling for, I think that was complimentary too, so. Right, down to the last 2, and these were impulse starts over the last couple weeks. I have done Big Hearted, this is Big Hearted Tiny Town. It's on a even weave that I dyed myself, just like got from Michael's, and then used RIP dye. And I have a loose thread. I've done the 4th of July one, and I'd like to do them all at some point, so I thought with being so close to Valentine's Day, I would start with Big Hearted as my next. And for these, I don't use the called for unless I have them. So I have like the Licorice Red is the red. I have, I think, Seashelly as one of the lighter pinks from Classic Colorworks. And I am using those when I have them, like I said, but otherwise just pulling Coloring Cotton. So those are cute. I really want to make them into, I mean, I've never made a drum, so I don't know, but I really like the little drums. It's just a different way to do it. I have a lot of flat finishes and thought I'd mix it up for these. Right, and then the last project I have is I started last night, and let me tell you, I saw this on Instagram, and I think the second, like within a few minutes, I had already purchased it. I was at work. I was in my cubicle. But that is called My Mushy Valentine by the Sprouting Lupine on Etsy, and I got 10% last night because I put this in the Pattern Keeper. This is with the called for DMC. I need to go out and get the rest today because I only had like 4 of the DMCs. I mean, I have almost a complete set, but it's never the ones I need. This is on a 28 count even weave that I dyed myself, and I have a start in the corner. So you can see the little mushroom coming in. That pink is getting washed out by this is sort of like a brownie pink fabric. That's how far I am. I haven't been this excited about a pattern in a while. So that was an immediate start. I'll put in a picture, but that etching in the tree on the side, that is just gorgeous. So yeah, there you have it. There's all of my WIPs. Thanks for sticking with me if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. I'd like to return on a monthly basis. I used to be more of a monogamous stitcher, but I think now that I'm skipping around from project to project more, I'll have more to show. With time, I'd also like to share some of my crochet WIPs moving forward, and hopefully I will get better at, holding up my projects, moving them in the right direction, pointing to the right areas, and have a better lighting situation at some point. So I know this was a train wreck, and I am sorry for that. We can only go up from here, right? So thanks again, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.